Thanks so much for being here. Let me get the cord out from under the speaker. There, I think we're good. Thank you. I think most of you know me. My name is Todd Eckloff. I'm the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane. And due to a recent decision by the U.S. Congress to effectively repeal the Affordable Care Act and replace it with a far worse measure, many of us in the local faith community felt that we needed to make a statement. And we would like to ask Congresswoman McMorris Rodgers about her decision to do this. So I'm going to read the letter we're going to present to her in a bit, and then each one of our faith leaders here today will come up and introduce themselves and ask a question of their own. And then we will sign this, and we will post it to the window, and we will attempt to take a copy up to the Congresswoman's office. So here is our letter, dated today, May 25th, 2017. Dear Congresswoman McMorris Rodgers, as leaders of the Spokane area faith community and members of the constituency you serve, we, the undersigned, ask that you give public response to the following questions regarding your recent vote to replace the Affordable Care Act. Did you personally read the American Health Care Act before signing it? If not, why did you sign it? If so, why did you sign it? Why should people with pre-existing conditions be charged prohibitive amounts for health insurance? Why should women be denied affordable access to basic health care? Why should the elderly be charged 5 times more for health care than others? Why do you think more than 70,000 of your most vulnerable constituents should lose their health care? Why don't they deserve the same quality government-guaranteed health care that you enjoy? Why should 2% of Americans receive billions of dollars in tax breaks while 23 million Americans lose their health insurance? How is this law going to reduce the rising cost of health care in our nation? What do you have against Medicaid? Why aren't you willing to hold town hall meetings with your constituents to discuss questions like these? And finally, does your faith tradition require you to care for the sick and the poor? We would accept an op-ed in the Spokesman Review, an article in the Inlander, an open town hall meeting, a Q&A press conference, or some other publicly held forum to provide your community with answers to these questions. Respectfully, the undersigned.
Congresswoman, if Martin Luther King was here, my name is Reverend Happy Watkins, and pastor of the New Hope Baptist Church. But if Martin Luther King was here right now, he would say these words: I have the audacity to believe that people everywhere should have 3 meals for their bodies, culture, education for their minds, dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits, and affordable medical care for all. The ultimate measure of a congresswoman is not where she stands in moments of comforts and conveniences and popularity, but where she stands in moments of challenges and controversies. And if Martin Luther King was here, he would say, my eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. I want to shout today on behalf of Spokane, his truth is marching on.
Amen.
What an honor to follow my colleagues Todd and Happy. On this occasion, my name is George Taylor. I am the visiting pastor at All Saints Lutheran Church here in Spokane. It's my honor to serve also with Alan Eichenbacher, who's going to be following me in a little bit. Put the microphone here, she says.
Yes.
I'm here to, as Todd and Happy are, for health care for all of our people. I'm here to protest Cathy McMorris Rodgers signing on to this horrible piece of legislation called the American Health Care Act that is designed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, that provided access to health care for millions and millions of our citizens who are vulnerable and poor and who did not have health care before. We need to have a little historical perspective here in that before the Affordable Care Act, before President Obama, the for-profit healthcare insurance industry was making money hand over fist by not insuring people who had pre-existing health conditions. All health problems are pre-existing.
That's right.
My Canadian friends tell me, why are you Americans so stupid as to connect health care with employment? Actually, health care has nothing to do with employment. In fact, you need it more when you're unemployed.
Right.
They also have asked me why Americans are so stupid as to think that pre-existing health conditions are exactly when you need health care the most. If you have diabetes or if you have cancer, that's when you need health care coverage. Hello? Cathy McMorris Rodgers has done her constituents a disservice by signing on to this horrible piece of legislation that is now pending before the United States Senate. She should be ashamed of herself. And we're here to tell her that. She's made a terrible mistake. And the question that I want to address, which is on the 13 questions that Todd just read, is, do you believe that all American citizens have the right to access health care to which you are entitled by your privilege and your position? That you are a member of the United States Congress, you have wonderful Cadillac health care. Do you think all Americans should have access to that health care, Congressman McMorris Rodgers? You should be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you, George. My name is Father Rick Matters. I represent the Episcopal Diocese of Spokane today. And I'm here to witness to my faith, the love of God through Jesus Christ. And Jesus taught very simply a healthcare policy in the parable of the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan saw a stranger in need and indeed an enemy in need. And he cared for that person out of his own expense, in his own pocket, in his own time, in his own love. And he even said to the innkeeper, to the hospital, if you need more, I'll come back and give you more money. And so my question for Cathy McMorris Rodgers is, why would you craft a bill that discourages young adults from being responsible and having coverage? All people need health coverage, and the young are tempted by their good health not to take that responsibility seriously, and we need legislation that reinforces that. So that's my question for you.
Just remember, Jesus was a universal health care provider.
My name is Linda Colby-Smith. I'm one of the priests at St. Clare's Ecumenical Catholic Church here in Spokane. Both as an American and a member of a faith community, I was taught and still believe that we are better when we look out for one another. That throwing people under the bus or deciding that somebody isn't worthwhile is not what makes us strong. We need to be standing up for one another. That's what my community asks all the time. Why are we leaving people behind? So I want to ask Cathy McMorris Rodgers how in the world she thinks destroying the lives of American citizens is a good value to build either a faith community on or our country on.
My name is Tuptum Chenny, and I'm very happy to join my colleagues here. I represent Sravasti Abbey, the Buddhist monastery outside of Newport. And the Buddha talked very, very much, and it's one of the fundamental principles of the practice of Buddhism, is that we are based in ethics. And the ethical conduct that we are guided to practice comes down into simple terms. At the very least, to do the very best we possibly can to harm no living being with our body, speech, or mind. Given that, the next step is to use our body, speech, and mind to help, to be of benefit, especially to those who are poor and vulnerable, but to every being, to the best of our ability. And then based on that, we have the inner strength then to develop our good qualities, our kindness, our compassion, our wisdom, our generosity to its maximum, based on our fundamental ethical values of non-harming and of helping others. So my question for Representative Cathy McMorris Rodgers is this. When the American Medical Association, when the American Association of Retired Persons, when the Congressional Budget Office has pointed out completely clearly that this piece of legislation not only does not help, that it harms, and it harms the most vulnerable people in our society. Can you tell me, what is your ethical foundation, Cathy McMorris Rodgers? What is your moral foundation? And does it match up with this piece of legislation that you were involved in helping to craft? That's my question for you.
Yeah!
Hello, my name is Jan Shannon. I'm the assistant pastor at Westminster United Church of Christ, just up the road here. I came today to protest the signing of this health care bill by Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers, because I find that this piece of legislation is completely antithetical to everything that my faith teaches. And from what I've heard, although I haven't spoken to her personally about this, she shares the same faith that I claim, that of Christianity and following Jesus Christ. Jesus always spoke up against the powers and the authorities that would harm those of lesser means, the poor, the needy, and especially the widow. But this piece of legislation clearly harms all of those communities. And so my question for Cathy McMorris Rodgers is, where's your faith? Where's your faith in a God who can create better legislation than this? Where's your faith in your fellow people of faith in Congress to write a piece of better legislation than this? Where is the power of the faith community in the American House of Congress? So many of you, Cathy, and your brothers and sisters in Congress claim to be people of faith, but we don't see it. We don't see the effects of what you claim to be your faith. And so my question for you is, where is your faith, Cathy?
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Eschenbacher. I'm the pastor at All Saints Lutheran Church in Browns Addition, just down the street here. And I grew up in a farm family in eastern Montana, and my family taught us as a group that we were to take care of each other and our brothers and sisters in the community and in the world. So my thought was about this awful healthcare act that makes it more difficult, that makes it more expensive, that takes away coverage from people. If you in Congress, Cathy, and your constituents there want to make changes, why not make it easier for everyone to get health care coverage? Down in Browns Addition, we work a lot every day with folks that suffer with very bad mental illness. They have a really difficult time negotiating and getting through a day. By making medical care and those kinds of access points even harder for them, oftentimes they give up and they need help. They don't need more roadblocks. So my question for you, Kathy, would be, why not make it easier for your constituents instead of harder?
Hi, people. I'm Pastor Andy Castro-Lang. I'm the senior pastor at Westminster United Church of Christ, right up the road. And I'm a mom, and I'm a grandmother. And I want to ask Kathy, how on earth can you look at your children at night as you tuck them in, as you tell them that you love them just as they are? How on earth can you do that with integrity when you are denying health care to millions of children, to vulnerable members of our community? How can you look at yourself in the mirror? How can you face America's children? How dare you? That's my question.
Okay, I think everybody has spoken, and we're going to now get out our hammer and nails, George, and nail this letter to the window before we go up as a group and try to deliver this.
Jumping over the broom.
Our clergy reps join me at the door here.
Yeah.
Coming backwards.
All right. I'm going to hold it in place, and let's see, this door says no solicitation, so we'll put it on this door.
Wish we had a hammer.
What are you doing?
Down there. Sorry.
We're leaving it. Nice. I don't think it'll last long. We're leaving it. Yeah.
So we're gonna go
All right.
upstairs now
We're
and
going to
take
go
one?
upstairs. I'm going to leave this here if I can. Extra copy. And here we go.
Yes, Steve House.
Is Happy coming?
Happy?
It's a great stairwell in this door.
More walking than he wants to do.
Looks like George is on.
Okay. And yes, I think he is making it good. He's one of the older states.
We're gonna take our whatever time is necessary because we're in solidarity here.
Don't hurry, we got an elevator.
Happy said, are you going to take the stairs? I said, no, we're going to take the elevator. I believe it's the second floor. That's the second floor. Yeah, that's the second.
Is it the second? I have suite 625.
Let's check because there's a director here.
We have to read the
Yep,
instructions.
625, correct.
Okay, here we go.
Patty Murray's on 6 also.
We can wait for. Yeah, we can pop it in there.
I'll come down a second. I used to have an office in this building.
We can all fit.
Come on, Abby.
Okay.
We'll hold it for you.
All right.
Take your time.
Take your time.
We're glad you're here. We're honored by your presence.
Jacob, thank you.
No, you guys are doing a great job. This is amazing.
Come on, Fred.
There you guys go. You guys are
For
all,
the next one, we
we're
got
all
to
with
practice
you.
together. We got to practice togetherness. Show me the love.
We'll raise your hand,
Show
Jacob.
me the love.
You get to run the stairs.
Are you going upstairs?
Yeah. I'm going to take the elevator.
Oh, did you say that? Yeah. It is a secret. Why don't you go cover yourself worthwhile? Oh. Are things won't be good? Stabilized all, yeah. No, but I'll order a couple hours. I got told this was worse. Right before my extended weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Start things off. You're gonna go water skiing or something?
No.
You hit 4 for me, please.
I got it.
I would have if you had signed.
Oh, no.
If you had signed the petition. Excuse me. Not gonna happen. Starting with it's unconstitutional.
You're gonna have to edit this.
I'm going live. It's Facebook Living. If anybody, we're on 5.
Oh, okay.
If anybody's curious, there's a group of faith leaders who are going up to Cathy McMorris Rodgers' office right now, and they have a resolution, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got a resolution. What's up?
Hi.
Here we go.
Yes, and I'd just like to note that she was informed of this. This was a public event, and so had she or her team decided to be here, they certainly could have been.
It was surprising to come all the way up here and find the lights out.
Yes.
But, Where's Kathy could be the next great TV reality show.
Yes.
And lunch hour's over because it's 1 o'clock.
We're done.
Okay.
So they might.
So we're
You
gonna.
think they might come back?
I got that last bit, Jacob. And you got
We're on
that.
camera.
You might need to edit that.
Oh, sure.
Edit out my elevator ride.
That's great. Thank